I'll talk into this because I think there's some people in the community that wanted us to post this so they could see it later. So thanks. I'm William Bradford. I'm the CEO of United. I'm also a Williamson County resident. And it's funny, I went to soccer practice last night at Crockett for my little 6-year-old, and they had all these circles drawn on the field where the kids were supposed to stay, and within 1 minute they were all on top of each other on one of the circles. So we all try our best to social distance, but I know it's hard sometimes. But a few things. One, I want to share just a few success stories about what's going on, and then sort of tell you more specifically about what we're doing, right? You're members, you're owners in Middle Tennessee Electric, so you have the right to know what's going on, and that's why we're probably a little bit different than a lot of the big companies. We do ask maybe you don't take pictures or post pictures of this map. We're still in a very competitive business, right? And sometimes the big guys like to try to slow us down as much as possible, and so we like to try to have the element of surprise as much as we can, but not so much that we don't want to keep people informed. One, Jeff has been an awesome hire for us. So he was pounding on my door, just like you guys were a few years ago, saying we need internet in the Eagleville area and the broader Rutherford County area. People can't work from home. We can't, maintain our basic lifestyle, and people are leaving the city and coming to these areas. And when he retired, I said, this is the exact guy we need working for us, because he's sitting there, been in your chairs, trying to find any kind of government program, any kind of business leader, anybody that would listen and solve the problem. And now we've received millions of dollars of grants. We're putting in another $4 million, and we're building out that little corner of Rutherford County in 2021, bringing internet service to, 1,500 people that never had internet before, not too far from Murfreesboro and Brentwood and Nolensville. So if you think about that, pretty close to populated areas. Similarly, we were doing this, the three of us were doing this a late night in the Bethesda Community Center, probably a little bit less than a year ago. Same thing, we probably had 100 residents come out at probably 7:30 on a dark night saying we need internet. And we work together, and that's what these white zones are. We work together, we put in an application through a federal program to get grant funding, and construction and engineering are underway to serve that. So, I look back to some of the questions that were posed to Middle Tennessee Electric ahead of their annual meeting, and a lot of people noticed, and rightfully so, that when we started this partnership between United and Middle Tennessee Electric, all of our fiber, all of our network was between the highways, right? We didn't cross 65, we didn't cross 24, and we were truly in that middle of Middle Tennessee. And so people out here, even in Bethesda, said, well, how are you even going to get to us? And I don't think, what I wanted to do tonight is sort of update you that we're halfway here, right? So on this map, that yellow and that green, those are areas that we're actively building in, right? We've already crossed the highway. We're down Goose Creek, on Carter's Creek. We've already come halfway from where we started to the very rural edges of Williamson County. And, a lot of people ask, well, why can't I have service tomorrow? We could build fiber right here tomorrow, but it wouldn't be connected to anything. We like to call that a network to nowhere, and it'd do us no good to build here. So as you can imagine, as we build this network, we got to edge out from where we are. We've built a really good network, right? We're one of the only, I know some of you are familiar with some of the other co-ops that are doing some pretty neat things with fiber, and that's what we've done. We've built our fiber optic backbone into Nashville, into Chicago, into Atlanta, and it's built to stream, it's built to work from home. It's really a different kind of network, and so when we get to these rural areas, you're getting a really good experience, and that's why it starts from the center and works its way out. And we got the same problem in Wilson County, honestly, the far sides of Wilson County. We're working our way both ways, sort of around through Rutherford and through central Williamson County to the edges. So a few things. One, and I'm happy to walk over to the map and have some more discussion. It's a small enough group we can talk about it. But one, we're halfway here. You can see those aqua shades. That's where we started, right? When we started this project with Middle Tennessee Electric a little over a year ago, we were in that central corridor of Middle Tennessee. Now you can see through the yellow and green, we're halfway here. We've also filled out about 400 pages of documents and applications with the U.S. Department of Agriculture for more grants, and they're starting to award those just in the last week. So we hope maybe in the next 30 to 60 days, all of those, there's about $600 million in that program, and we think we have a really good chance to win that, and that would serve these red areas on that map. So those are applications we've already put in. I think we put the applications in even February or March, and we were engineering it last year. So we've been working on this area and trying to figure out how do we get services to this area, because we know you guys have been left behind for a long time. So we've put a lot of resources, a lot of manpower into putting applications in and trying to get every bit of federal and state grant funding we can to come down to these areas. Senator Jack Johnson, Whitson, Glenn Cassida, a lot of the people in this area, Mayor Anderson, have all called and said, what can we do to help make this possible? They've written letters of support. We've asked some of you guys to write letters of support if you're inside the area. That helps your scoring on these applications. Any farms and businesses help your application. So we reached out to lots of folks through the application process to write letters of support that we hope will make that a great application. So if you're one of those that did write a letter of support, thank you. Those do amazingly make a difference, and especially when you're competing for funds. So unfortunately, when it comes to Washington, D.C., you do 400 pages of paperwork and you sit around and wait, and they'll tell you when they tell you. So we're sort of in that frustrating period between we're sort of itching to go and we haven't been told to go yet. So we said that's not good enough. And Middle Tennessee Electric knows we've got a big problem, but we've got all these substations that we've got to connect. We've got to have this grid. We've got to enable the next generation of smart grid and distribution automation. So at the beginning of this year, they approved a significant investment in fiber optic backbone, right? That's our biggest challenge. If you get into this western portion of Williamson County, there's no connectivity to get here to even serve the first customer. So we had to put millions and millions of dollars of highway, the backbone, the highway for us, to get here and just turn up the first customer. Well, Middle Tennessee Electric said, well, why don't we just go ahead and commit to connecting all these substations, and that gets that highway system built, and then we can be more strategic about building the roads you live on, right? So that yellow line is a brand new fiber project that kicked off earlier this year, and that'll be complete at the end of next year. That puts, we didn't even show you the eastern half because you only care about this western half, but a very significant fiber backbone through the most rural portions, very intentional, right? We took the long ride. If we were trying to be efficient, we'd have taken a very direct path through the most populated areas of the county. We told our engineers they had to take off their engineering hat and build the most inefficient fiber route through the most rural areas possible, and I think they succeeded. They wondered if we went crazy, but so you can see, we took lots of zigs and zags to put this highway system through the most rural portions of Williamson, Rutherford, and if you could see it all the way back around Wilson, and it connects all the way through downtown Nashville, right? So that's one thing unique about what we've done is everything connects to the major data centers in the region. So when we do provide service to you, it's going to be a really good network. Two, we also know, even telling people, gosh, by 2021, 2022, we might have a fiber solution, that doesn't help you the next 2 years, and especially during this pandemic when you need it faster. So Middle Tennessee Electric, we have also been in the wireless internet business for some time. We knew we needed that tool because you can be a little more nimble with wireless, right? Fiber just is you have to permit, you have to engineer, you have to construct, and the average project's probably 18 months on a fiber project, honestly, given everything that's involved. But we can be a lot more nimble on wireless. So Middle Tennessee Electric, we did the same thing in the Bethesda area, although we're not showing this on the map. Middle Tennessee Electric had a tower in the Bethesda area. We're using a brand new technology that provides 100 meg internet speeds using a new band of spectrum that just came to the market. So it's not gigabit fiber, but it's 100 meg internet, good upload speeds. It'll handle your average house I got 4 kids at my house, and it would work just great at my home. And we're selling lots of it. We probably have 20 or 30 customers a week sign up for this new wireless product around the region. So that blue, we haven't publicly announced it yet, but we've already installed equipment on a tower up in the Fairview area. Middle Tennessee Electric said, we've got these towers, how can we use them to get member service faster? So we've deployed brand new technology on that tower. These things are ugly, right? Propagation, right? Every little hill, so that they're not, we like to say they're not accurate, so we ought to just look and see, right? We'll even drive a bucket truck out to your house and see if we can get a good signal, right? We'll test everybody. But that sort of aqua, almost looks like a paint splatter, is a tower that's going live at the last of this month, and we'll probably be testing the first few weeks of October and ready to start doing installs. So we think, usually what I find is, a third of the people in the room can find out they get a pretty good wireless product. And sometimes there's things we can do to manipulate that, right? Hey, I got a hill blocking me, but if I put a 30-foot pole, then we can pick up 10 more neighbors. So we try to be pretty nimble on that kind of stuff, knowing that people really need broadband. So I'd encourage you, let's make sure we get your names, and first thing we'll do is check for wireless. Second thing we want to do is keep you updated on the grant and the fiber backbone project, because that truly is going to be a multi-year kind of project to serve this whole area. And obviously with a focus on starting in the grant areas. I think maybe the other point I'd want to make on the grant areas, you can see the white shading within like the green and the yellow or grant areas. We don't ever just build a small area, right? We take those federal funds and try to make them go a lot further. So we build when we shade that for a whole service area, it'll be a lot bigger than those red zones, right? We don't leave people that are 850 feet outside of the zone out that need broadband, access to fiber. I think one address I looked up was, they're 852 out of the U.S. Ag Department zone. We'll get them served, right? So that's sort of how we work. But again, unfortunately, out of Washington, even if they approve us this week, I'm guessing they wouldn't even send us the paperwork to sign until early next year. That's just how slow these programs are, unfortunately, and it's been frustrating. But I think they're getting it. They're putting a lot more. The good news is these programs didn't exist 5 years ago, and they put $600 million in this program 2 straight years, and we're really excited about that. They call it a pilot program. It's nice having a $600 million pilot program. So we hope to make it, it'll be a full-time program that'll keep bringing more funds to this area. Yeah, nationally. So it doesn't go very far. I mean, I'd expect, we won under the same program the first year, so I think we're pretty good at writing these applications, and we have a pretty good application that impacts a lot of counties, and typically that helps your score because you get a lot of constituents and you get a lot of politicians that the U.S. Ag Department gets to say we sent funds to. So we try to be pretty smart about it, but you don't get a whole lot of feedback in federal programs. They just call you and say yes or no. With that, I mean, I think, for us, we're happy to answer questions and really let it be more interactive. Like I said, I think we've got some good short-term news. If we can serve you with this new wireless tower, and it's not, your grandfather's wireless. It's a really nice product. We've got some medium-term solutions, which mean 2 to 3 years. You'll see us coming building this fiber route. The thing's been in engineering for a few months, and we'll be constructing it this year and all of next year and be done with it by the end of next year. So you see us rolling around, and we'll be actively building off of that after that. We are. We know, I couldn't come to this meeting and say I have a solution to get here if I didn't have that highway built. Right, so that's why we went ahead, Middle Tennessee Electric said, let's build that highway. We're going to need it anyway to really get to the next generation of reliability and smart grid infrastructure. So let's go ahead and put that highway system in place. And then when we get pockets, it's a lot easier to build the pockets. We've been able to be a lot more nimble in central Middle Tennessee. Like we built Paytonsville, Arno Road, Goose Creek, a lot of that because it was just a lateral off an existing highway we had. We don't have that flexibility over here because there was no highway to tie into. So that's really the first key step is planting that highway system through the most rural areas. And it's a big investment on their part, on your part.
What consists physically of installing cable? Is this buried cable or is it cable?
It would be a combination of both. We follow the power lines. So if the power lines are aerial, we follow that. If they're buried, we'll bury, inside. If you're dropped from your, 5 poles in, goes underground up to your house, then we do the same thing. So we typically follow power, which is the most efficient way to do it.
And then you have to have an amplifier or some sort of head that broadcasts that signal so the
Yeah, so for the fiber optics distance, you're using lasers and very small glass, right? So distances, I know y'all probably know more about DSL than you ever want to know living out here and how far you have to be from the remote and the node, and they finally turn down your service. A lot less distance limitation. So what we do when we build it, we can serve everybody, that can, if we can get fiber to your house, distance isn't a factor with that. And we put a small piece of electronics either on the side of your house or run it all the way into your house, just depending on how your inside wiring's laid out.
The first I've heard of wireless.
Yeah.
This on the left is your wireless.
Mm-hmm. That little, it looks like you almost threw some paint up against there. There's the wireless.
Yeah, right down at the bottom next to your red.
Mm-hmm.
Right there. Wilson County's got a landfill right there on 9 Road.
Mm-hmm.
And I know they own the cow. And AT&T is where I get my signal from there, and they've been manipulating all kinds of things this past month. Is that like something you would be able to?
We track all that. We just signed an agreement in Bedford County to get access all the county towers and do the same thing there. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's something we'll definitely. Mm-hmm.
The tower is right there.
Okay.
Is that?
We'll call Mayor Anderson tomorrow and see what he has to say.
Talk to your county commissioner and say, they're doing
was key. You know, it's hard sometimes to move local governments, and Bedford County really stepped up, and that's because they knew if they had sort of opened up some of their tower assets, it would make us eligible for grants to put the network. And I think that'll help other county commissioners and mayors say, okay, this is sort of something we should consider. Yeah, if you'll give us just maybe after the meeting, let me write down a few notes on what you know about it, and I'll hand it to my director of wireless operations, and he'll just call Mayor Anderson to see what the deal is, and we'll track it down. Yeah. With good upload. I mean, we're doing 10, 20 meg upload too. I think we got a package around $60 on that. I mean, we just try to price it competitive with what the big guys are charging the big cities, honestly.
Okay. I'm literally paid $200.
Oh, yeah.
$200 a month.
I think he was there. Yeah, I mean, we have packages anywhere from $60 to $100, just depending on what you want. We try to have 3 good speed tiers, you know, based on what everybody wants. So we don't have different prices.
I didn't know about that.
Yeah, you know, it's a good tool. We wanted it because you can be a little more nimble. Long term, we're still big believers in fiber. You know, this wireless has come a long way.
But you have to have direct line of sight.
This one's a little bit different. This new technology gives us a near line of sight, so we can penetrate a little bit more. We can't go through a hill, but we can penetrate a lot more. You know, trees and leaves. This is using a different frequency and a little bit different band than what they're using. So this is a new frequency. The FCC actually just opened up about a month ago, just for this purpose, really. And they broke down the licenses at the county level. Normally, if somebody like me wanted to buy a wireless license, I'd have to buy the whole national NSA. I can't buy spectrum to cover downtown Nashville. I know these goes for hundreds of millions of dollars.
So is it 4 or is it 6?
This would be, there's a lot of confusion around what's 3G, 4G, 5G. This is in the 3.6 band of spectrum, which is a good mid-band, which is very good for broadcast.
Are there data limits?
No, we have no data limits on any of our products.
So where is the tower of service in the amplifier area sit?
I'm not exactly sure. Probably right there near the middle. Usually the way that works, I can't remember. We should have put the top of the little pin. Yeah, closer to that fiber line.
Within the last year, they built a tower near Hewitt Road in Pineville. I don't know whose tower it is. Does anybody know?
I've been told it's T-Mobile, but I don't know that.
Yeah, a lot of times they don't even own their, most
Now
of
they
them don't own their own
think
towers.
Further down from the landfill. Not too.
Right. So we'll take a look, you know, we're on the tower of Bethesda. We lease the tower in Thompson Station from American Tower, the T-Mobile, Verizon, are usually on American Towers.
And is this a source that we can get to?
If you're in the blue splatter, you can sign. We're going live. I mean, we're testing it. We're doing this in other sites, so it's not our first time we've done this. So it works great. You can call your rep. We had a bunch of people in Bethesda put their speed test results, and they were doing backflips. But we're just live on this tower. We're just live on this tower. We'll be probably announcing it September 28th, is what my team told me. So really, the second week of October for installs. But we can go ahead and pre-qualify you, right? We've already got the propagation study. We can tell you.
And where would we go to apply for that? If we were interested?
Need some testimonials?
Yeah, yeah. On the way, if you think you're close to it, why don't we just? I'll store your name. What I'll do is I'll give it to our director of wireless operations and just have him go ahead and do a batch. You can probably send one guy out one day and just make the rounds and we'll contact you if it looks like they'll or if you're not, if you want to we'll follow up anyway.
When I log into your thing, it tells me I'm in future broadband zone C. Where is zone C on your map? Am I covered? Am I not covered?
Good question. I'm not sure what, I didn't bring, the future broadband zone C, I think this means, you're a Middle Tennessee Leiper member, and we're looking at ways to get there. We want to capture your data. Right, so we wouldn't go back in. Once we get the grant, we will break up that zone C into smaller zones, saying, okay, this first quarter, people are getting service, second quarter, people are getting service, you know, based on when the project will be done.
How do we afford that to reconnect to
I can try to look it up here after the meeting. And even if we don't get that grant, you know, we're not giving up on this area. That's why before those next round of grants come open.
With us contacting our federal agencies about this project?
I'd like to say yes. I think at this stage, probably not. We're doing some outreach right now, just directly to some of the decision makers, but I think the fact they get so many applications, you'd like to say yes. We did get a good level of support. I mean, we go out and ask community leaders to write letters of support, ask residents that would be impacted, try to get enough samples that shows that the demand's really there. So I think we got quite a bit of support, as you can imagine, with these applications on the file. So I think we're looking good there.
So people that we get our neighbors on board, who should we have them contact? With what local officials?
On board for,
Or just in case it's coming our way?
we've got home cards that you can hand out to your neighbors and get on. So to answer your question, like if you've signed up on the site and we've got our filling a grant application out, we'll usually send you an email and say, hey, would you mind writing a letter of support for this application? So some of y'all that did get that request to write a letter of support, that's how we identified you. So we'll go in.
So I'll just mention on that home card, there's a link on there, address that you go in. Some of you have already registered, I'm sure, but if you haven't, go in there, register your address, and then ask your community, your neighbors to do the same thing. The more.
Yeah, you guys have lots of community support, and that helps. Like when we send our application in, we'll say, of the 751 homes that this project would bring internet to, 300 have already signed up for service, and that's a good sign, right? That means the project's going to be successful. They want to fund projects that are successful and don't sign up. So we take that data. If neighbors haven't signed up, tell them to, because we submit that. And that really, the Tennessee ECD, the Tennessee Department of Economic Development has the best grant program going on, better than federal programs. So constituent friendly, very low on administrative hurdles to get over, and they really care more about, or have people signed up, and is this really going to deliver services to Tennesseans? Federal applications are more bureaucratic, as we imagine, so really commend Governor Lee for the program he put in place.
There's farmers out there, but I'm pretty sure you're going to support it.
Well, I don't know if that helps or hurts sometimes, you know, he probably wants to stay away from that. But he does. I think that's good to have a governor that knows what it's like not to have broadband. He did his Friday podcast from his farm, and they had to drive in somewhere to upload, you know, because he's fighting the same fight y'all are.
In the Westford, I think it's had a higher turnout time, a lot of our people got to
Oh, no.
when they shut down their houses.
Oh, well, we came to the hot spot.
Yes. You're gonna finish this, pipeline, or highway line, 2021.
End of 21 would be the highway.
And then what about broadband to our home?
We would start looking at zones for 2022, realistically.
In the zone, that depends on how many.
Yeah, we would break it down. We would break this area into probably 3 or 4 smaller projects that you just, like I mentioned, you know, do this one, this one, this one, this one. So, you know, we've got a long way to go. Unfortunately, that's why I say that's sort of the, doesn't help you now. You know, nobody else is bringing broadband out here. It's just a long process with fiber optics.
So the wireless, faster, you said?
Yeah, that's why we went ahead and put that up on that tower. Absolutely.
So your highway looks like it's following Pinewood Road. If we live on that road that passes us on the substation, would we?
You'll be a lucky one, because when we try to do it smart, a lot of people, when they build their highway, don't build it for individual customers, and we took the extra time to design it that everybody right off that highway, and usually within 2 poles that are already sort of service ready. So I should clarify that. And that's how we sort of try to be smarter about it too. I mean, it doesn't do us any good to have a highway with nobody on it.
And when what highway did it?
In 21.
Will United be sending out communication to the rural?
Yeah, absolutely. Like if you've already signed up on Crowd Fiber, and let's say you're on that highway system, we'll go ahead and sort of break that up. Hey, this segment's going to be done in August. Go ahead and sign up for service. And like we were just doing that today, College Grove, we were doing a lot of fiber in College Grove, and when I left the office, our customer service team, hey, we're finishing up a fiber project, we're scheduling installs for the second week of October. Can I go ahead and get you on the calendar? So you'll start getting those emails, hey, the project started, and then we'll start bugging you, hey, we want to get you on the schedule to install you.
Is there a upfront cost that homeowner has to pay to dedicate to our house? Fiber line?
No, I think we have a $49 install charge, but most of the time we're running a program, a promotion, you know, I don't know if we'll still be running it next year, but right now it's $49 for an install, we'll give you a $50 Visa gift card if you keep your service for 2 months, you know. We eat most of that cost with the view that you guys are going to be customers for a long time.
Even for people along the way or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
we have a lot of $100,000 drops, as you can imagine, to people's houses, and that's why it takes a while.
It's like the inside help thing that we have, Dawn, our marketing specialist, and Fred is our marketing director. If you haven't gotten one of these, and if you want some more to hand out to some of your neighbors, please do. Because this does help us identify where these densities are and plan for them. And I can't overemphasize hammering your county commissioner. And they hopefully will hammer us. When are you getting out there? And then we'll turn around to them and say, when are you going to give us the grant money to do this? Okay, it was $20 million last year. It was bumped up to $25 million, but COVID bumped it back down to $15 million. So, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. You know, the more we yell for it, the more we ask for it. And I'll tell you that Mayor Anderson's been very supportive. But I think he can always be a little more supportive. They get us these communications towers. Bedford County worked with us and worked with their local water utility. Water reservoirs are normally on high ground, and we put up a small tower on the top, you know, on the high ground, reach more people. So there's ways for us to sometimes accelerate this, and the best way to do it is to beat on your county commissioner. I know they like me saying that, so that's why I'm saying it. Beat on your county commissioner.
Has a water tower in the landfill as well. There's all sorts of infrastructure, but it's put a tower over there. Yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I looked it up on the Williamson County, so it's only county property.
Yeah, that's good. Sometimes the running across a county-owned tower on a private easement is challenging. So we'll absolutely look into some of this. I think that'd be good to have that information for you.
I contacted,
You've done some good research.
last December and asked him about the grants. And the secretary called me back after I talked to him and wanted to know the link, because he didn't know where the link was on Tennessee's GOV site about grant. And that was his argument. It's just a link, you know. It's like no way, and I've been all over the issue. And I'll continue to.
Well, they've actually reached out to even us, on your behalf, to be on now. And, I think now when we call the mayor's office, these are a little more in tune to Florida City, but they've been very supportive.
Yeah.
Obviously.
And that's probably was the missing link in that Tennessee grant program that rolled out. They really made it for internet providers, right? And that way you didn't have the middle step of municipal and local governments. And so we're the ones that have to apply, but we have to get their letters of support. So that's why a lot of them don't really know the mechanics of it. They're really looking to partner with the providers who can, that's part of the qualification, you have to be a qualified internet provider to get a grant. Goose Creek, Carter's Creek intersection today is sort of the farthest we've come down.
It looks like it's very low.
It might be, yeah. I mean,
Okay, which is not what?
I'd have to look, and obviously we're building 100,000 feet a week right now, so.
Yeah, I was here too, for Middle Tennessee Electric's perspective. You would think about all the different roads that are out there. We've got electric lines down all of them, but just to give you kind of an order of magnitude of what that means. We only serve 4 counties, primarily 4 counties. That's 14,000 miles of electric line. So when you think about duplicating that infrastructure, putting a fiber optic cable, talking about 14,000 miles of line, which costs hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions millions of dollars just in this whole county. So, again, one of the things we want to make sure at Old Tennessee Electric that from our perspective, we know it's important for the grid and future grid reliability and stability to have this infrastructure. But we're also making sure that from our perspective, we approach it from a very financially prudent perspective so that we don't cause problems for the co-op, and we certainly want to see broadband expanded. But 14,000 miles of line. The other thing that folks don't understand, I want to make sure this group understands, is that just because the pole is there doesn't mean it can accept the cable. So many times, we have to go out and replace the electric infrastructure, the pole, the wires, in order to accommodate another cable to get attached to it. Which, again, when we talked about the time that it takes to, design and engineer and make ready that electrical infrastructure, just to support the addition of that fiber optic cable.
That's the long part. It takes us 9 months to usually get poles ready. Adding attachments and supports and moving other cables and replacing poles. And that's why we like wireless. It gives us the ability to be nimble, especially in areas that need the most. We're not doing it everywhere. Because it duplicates the cost to a certain degree for a short-term solution. But in areas like this, it's been a good solution for us. That's sort of how we've built our business models from the rural areas in. So we're sort of comfortable working in the areas, but it just takes you, right? It takes everybody the same amount of time to build a mile of fiber. We cover, out here we might cover 4 or 5 customers a mile, right? Where somebody else built it. I mean, most cable stops going places that once you get below 30 customers a mile, you don't see the traditional internet fiber. We're sort of the old school economics. We've always been opposite. We've found ways to scrap and find federal funds and state funds, and so we've sort of always taken the outside-in approach. But it doesn't happen overnight.
On your yellow diagram of the highway, is there a start and finish? Are you building it from the Nashville area down?
We're coming from, actually, sort of that outside in, we're coming from College Grove. I mean, we've built, just like that backbone, we take the rural routes of areas that need it the most. So that whole Peytonsville, Arno, before we even got to Bethesda, those people were screaming and doing backflips for internet service. Hey, we're 5 miles from Cool Springs and can't get internet. Never would have bought a house in this neighborhood that didn't have internet. And so there are actually still quite a few entire neighborhoods that don't have internet, not just houses on country roads, but believe it or not, in Williamson County, Rutherford County, entire neighborhoods.
The backbone that you see there, and then it extends on to Rutherford and Wilson County. That backbone is about 230 miles out.
If you think you're in that blue, we'll look you up. So on the way out, maybe we can man the sheet, and if you think you're close to that area and want us to investigate whether you get fixed wireless, we'll do that, and then we'll promise to get back to you and let you know what we find out. And then we'll get the information on maybe another county or tower that can increase the coverage. I like that idea.
Well, that's the thing that's coming out.
This helps us, honestly. This is how we work. I mean, our business model, when you're building the rural areas, only works if people are interested in signing up, right? I can't build a mile of fiber for 6 customers when 2 sign up. So, then I'm really upside down. So, to us, the Bethesda areas, I know a great success story. They're a year ahead of you guys because it's just where we started, where our network started. But it's going to be a good success story. I saw a lot of the same things here that I saw there. So appreciate it. Don't want you to give up. I know for some people it's still going to be a multi-year process. We are working this way and plan to be here another 70 years. So